Hey y'all, TRG here, and in this video we'll be going over a wild pattern change that could cause the potential for a snowstorm, severe weather, a tropical storm in the southern Gulf of Mexico, and most of the US getting near, if not below, average temperatures. Let's go right on into today's video. We're going to start out here with your 500 millibar wind speeds on the GFS 12Z model run. Let's pull this on out a couple hours out. So this is going to be for tomorrow, right around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll see this trough that infiltrates the Four Corners area. This could cause the potential for some gusty winds and very small hail in this general vicinity here. Overall, not going to be much of a severe weather maker, but still going to be something that we're going to watch for tomorrow, just in case it causes a bit more of a notable severe threat, but it shouldn't be a whole lot. Then by the time we go into Wednesday, it's going to pull on out into the central United States and then get on out of here. That will set the stage for a potential severe weather threat as we go into this upcoming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, generally somewhere out in this vicinity here. The specifics are definitely still very, very blurry, but it doesn't seem like this will be much of a notable severe threat either, but we'll still monitor it because there's enough time for uptrends and, of course, downtrends as well. After that system passes through, as we go through Sunday, our biggest system that we're watching the most, which is going to start pulling into the US here on November 18th. This is the one that's going to cause the biggest pattern change in the US, and I'll show you why on the precipitation and temperatures in just a bit. But you could see, I mean, it's a very negatively tilted trough as we go into Monday and Tuesday, about a week from today. And also, as it pulls up to the north and east, look at the very bottom of your screen, just to the left of my face cam. You'll see some wind speeds at Florida. That's a tropical storm on the GFS model run right here, just at or below 240 hours out. Then as we go beyond Thursday, you'll see this big trough just hang around in the central United States. Now, of course, beyond 240 hours out, which is specifically this frame right here, that's when you get very inaccurate. So I don't really want to go any much further than about Thursday next week, because we're just going to be looking at fantasy things and it's going to change a lot. So there's no point in looking that far out. Before I continue further in this video, I ask that you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share the video with your family, friends, and on social media, as well as hit that like button to help us reach the YouTube algorithm and spread weather awareness. Let's continue back with today's video. So this is your GFS temperature anomalies. I want to show you this because this will help show you those big blasts of cold air that we're most likely going to end up seeing infiltrating the United States over the next 2 weeks. So over the next week or so, you'll see there's really just normal anomalies. Maybe here and there you get some hotter than normal anomalies, but generally it's pretty normal for November. Then as we go towards November 19th and November 20th, you could already see it here on November 19th, this big blast of cold air that's trying to get into the US, and then you could see your low pressure system right in here exiting, or I should say entering the central United States. So as I pull this out further, you'll see that massive blast. Look at that. Just a huge blast of cold air, literally within one frame of the GFS model run here, where you just get this surgence of very cold temperatures into a very large chunk of the United States as we go into November 20th. And then beyond that, that will continue throughout most of the central and eastern United States. Now, of course, I don't want to really look at the temperatures, but just the anomalies as a whole, we're definitely going to be dealing with 30s and probably even 20s in some areas here in the central United States as we go into November 20th or so. But overall, just going to be a very chilly pattern out there, and it could bring a snowstorm to the US. Let's go ahead and look at that now. So here's your GFS model run, 159 frames out. That's going to be for the night of next Sunday, or I should say this upcoming Sunday. But let's go ahead and pull this on out, and you can see this big low pressure system, that blast of cold air coming in behind it. And of course, once they meet, that creates a potential for a snowstorm somewhere in the central United States. So generally in this area, we're going to be watching for the potential of a snowstorm as we go into probably the middle to latter half of next week. In terms of severe weather, by the way, I don't think this will be a potent severe weather maker. It doesn't look like a severe weather maker whatsoever. We could see some marginal severe weather with it, of course, but I don't see a significant severe weather event with this system or any system in the near future at the moment. So the newest NHC update just recently came out here. You can see they now have it at a 50% chance of formation. This was at a 20% chance just yesterday, so this is up by 30% within the last about 12 to 24 hours. So they are expecting a tropical depression or potentially even a tropical storm to form out here in the west central Caribbean, and it should stay out there for quite a while. You saw that trough ejection coming in towards the time frame of like November 16th on the GFS model run, and that should keep this south of the Gulf of Mexico until the trough eventually gets out of here. So it is definitely a question mark on if this could get into the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, I'm definitely seeing this getting close to the Gulf, if not into the Gulf of Mexico, by the time we go towards the middle half of next week. So if you're in Florida, Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, I would definitely be monitoring this closely, and I'm going to show you why right now. So this is our 12Z GFS ensembles from weathernerds.org, and if I go ahead and show you this, look at this. You can see some of these ensembles take it towards the Yucatan Peninsula, which is why I mentioned that area, but a very large majority of these are going to take it towards the Gulf of Mexico, if not towards Cuba, generally that vicinity. So definitely have the potential for a tropical storm or potentially even a hurricane to develop in the Western Caribbean as we go towards early next week, and then that could track towards Cuba as we go towards the middle portion of next week. So definitely want to keep a very close eye on the tropics for the next week or two. Here's the European ensembles, and look at that. They show generally the same thing. Quite a few ensembles take this towards the Yucatan Peninsula, towards Cuba, or towards Florida, that general vicinity there. You see a few stragglers take this back up towards the Dominican Republic. I personally don't see that happening, but definitely still want to, keep every scenario open. So right now, it's just definitely more of a watch and wait game. Let's go ahead and take a look at some global models now. This is your 12Z GFS model run as we go to Wednesday this week. Not a whole lot of development with your tropical system out there at my cursor. And you can see the GFS kind of just spins it out here. It just slowly forms it into a tropical storm as we go into very early next week, potentially actually by the end of this week as we go to Saturday and Sunday, and then forms it into a hurricane, pushes it up towards the United States. That cold front, look at that. Very sharp cold front right there. Very easy to spot. So that cold front smacks it really quickly off to the east. It barely hits the southern tip of Florida and then goes on out to sea. So that the timing of that cold front and the strength of that cold front is definitely going to matter a whole lot on if this system manages to hit Florida or if it's pushed out way before it even gets towards Florida. Let's go to your CMC model run now. This goes about the same hours out as the GFS model. This has a different scenario. That cold front is not as strong as what the GFS is depicting, and it's a little bit more to the north. It also leaves quicker, so your cold front is right here as we go towards early next week, Monday next week, week from today. And that cold front's gone before your AOI actually even gets towards the Gulf of Mexico. So because of that, it leaves open Texas and Louisiana for a potential interest in landfall. However, the system never really organizes that well on the CMC model run. So that's definitely another scenario, is we just see a tropical depression form, hits the Yucatan Peninsula, and then we don't have to deal with it. So definitely not taking the GFS with it's going to happen as we see a category 2 or 3 hurricane. So just remember that the GFS, by the way, it also always has a bias of spinning up tropical storms very quickly in this area, especially this year. And this year specifically, it has spun up countless amounts of like category 3s and 4s hurricanes out here, and we haven't seen a single category 3 or 4 hurricane in this area. So the exact scenario of the GFS playing out and a cat 3 or 4 hit in Florida, I'd be shocked if it happens. I would be really shocked that it happens. I mean, let's look at your European model run here. This is your 0Z model run from yesterday. It forms a tropical storm out here in the Caribbean. I'm not even gonna lie, I am shocked that actually agrees with the GFS model run there. That is like the GFS exactly. This is the European model run. I am actually surprised by this. So definitely definitely possible that we see a tropical storm develop here. But in terms of where it goes, like I said, we're generally looking at that steering current of somewhere like this. Icon model run also has a tropical storm forming just as it enters the Yucatan Peninsula, southern Gulf of Mexico. Okay, so here's your European AI model. This is your 0Z. We'll pull this on out. And it doesn't really develop it that much. So, yeah, it seems like we have the European AI, the CMC, and the Icon model run that barely, if at all, develop a tropical storm. And then the GFS and the European model run, which is your two main global models, actually both show a category 2 plus hitting Florida sometime early next week. So just going to keep an eye on it. You know, we're of course going to see these model runs flip around and change a lot. So hopefully the GFS and Euro downtrend later on today. So again, just generally watching this whole vicinity here for a tropical storm to develop as we go into the beginning of next week or extremely late this week. Just to do the overview here with your map from the GFS 12Z model run. Again, like I said, we're going to see that big cold front push through potentially with 30 to 20 degree temperatures into most of the central United States. Probably going to end up seeing a snowstorm somewhere generally in this vicinity. The magnitude of it and exactly where is obviously way too far out to determine. Remember, snow is very difficult to predict anything further than like 3 days out. So we like to recognize the pattern we're going in and see if that pattern favors a snowstorm, which in this sense it definitely does. That big cold front that tails down here, you'll see that. Watch it move to the south and east. That's going to play a factor, a big factor on where a tropical system goes. If this cold front speeds up, it's going to shut off the Gulf of Mexico, and our tropical system is going to end up towards Cuba or potentially as far as to the south and east as Haiti. If that low pressure ends up being where the GFS portrays it, we could end up with a tropical storm or hurricane near Florida. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. Leave a like on the way out, and stay safe. Watch the real weather, the tropics, and the snowfall. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.